let me start recording. All right, this meeting is being recorded, and today we are actually having a Villawood workshop because most of our volunteers on this team haven't been to Villawood Detention Facility. We have Pastor Alosio over there praying. We are going to be recording this. This is a workshop, an actual workshop happening to kind of let everyone on the team know what happens and what takes place prior to serving at Villawood and what's expected of us, expected behaviors, and all sorts of things like that. Praise the Lord. So we have Barb's. Raise your hand. Do I have consent for you to be in the video?
Yes.
Rowana? Hi. Consent? Yeah. Nikita? Consent? Leah? And then Emotion praying as well. Emotion? Joy? Sara?
Yes.
Pastor? Alosio? Janine? Janice? Consent? He put his thumb down. I think we're good. I think we're straight. Thank you, guys. And Jody, when you get here, raise your hand. Consent. Praise the Lord. All right. Sara, sorry.
Cool.
Take it away.
I'm just He's getting his coffee. Anyway, we did a little bit of writing down, and I hope this is a bit of a help for you guys. Obviously, it's how Edwin and I were trained. We just went in with the team and we got to know how the whole situations or how it is to be in there. Like the first few times we went in, we just observed, but that's not going to be the case when we're going in, because when we're going in, it's most likely, I don't know if you're still here or not, but it's most likely Pastor and me who know how how it is. So we guys need to prepare yourself for that. So please read it through. We'll go, step by step. We'll go through the whole process.
You guys get it. Oh, you like this?
I read through it.
Come on,
you read it. Yeah, you got it. Did your homework.
This is so good, guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I know that you would like that. I knew when I was writing, I was like, to me, this is for you, myself.
Thinking about Janine the whole time while we're doing this.
This is so good, guys.
Hi.
Cool. I'll give it up to Edwin because he's explaining the whole.
Where you feel comfortable next to Barb's? I like you there because you look a little authoritative.
No, I'm not authoritative.
Like when you by the desk with your arm here, you look like authoritative.
It's like a pen.
All right. So yes.
Just feel free as well. Question.
Yes.
I'll talking regarding things that you don't understand. Yeah, just feel free to question that.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, probably what we do in the workshop regarding to checking ID. In terms of visitations, we have two different kind of things as well. Right? So in terms of us as a church going in as a church, they will only ask for your identification. So probably there's a driver's license or student ID. Just to compare, because they will have a list of our names already prepared, already printed out. So what they do, they just check your ID. But in terms of visitations, when you're going to visit somebody, they will need your 100 points ID. So you have to produce 100 points, driver's license or passport with other two. So even for the passport, having 75 points, then you have to produce another 2 IDs. So that's when you go in as a visitor, but not as a church. The church is only 1 ID, probably a driver's license or student ID. So just make that clear before, go.
Thank you, Pastor. I think I include identification here. In the first page under induction circle staff. Thank you for being clear. Maybe I should add that. Okay, so from the top, prior to the process of going into Villawood detention.
Jody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jody, there you go. Did you get lost? You need to give consent.
Jody, give consent. Give consent to the camera. Yeah.
Yes. give consent to the
I'm good with this video. Yeah. Have a seat. Things every volunteer has to undergo before being eligible to visit Villawood as the church. First step is the screening process / interviews. I think there's something that's been new implemented that I think all of us actually has to do like a 30-minute interview. Pastor, do you know in regards to what that interview will be like?
Especially for those who are starting new, we will have to go through a process of interviews where you sit with either the religious liaison officer or someone about him, just to ask the question why you want to get involved in the ministry, what's your heart and what's your motives regarding to that. So probably for us, it's only involvement of church service and also for the Bible study. Probably just mention of those two things. Right? That's what we are involved in. But other things we do regarding to help outside the family, they don't need to know that. So, but inside, those are just two things that we can involve in regarding to church service and also Bible studies. Right? Yeah.
So that screening process also includes, I think, the background check that, so we would, it takes a little while for each person to get approved. So that means, pretty much every one of us will be investigated. Like a background check that we do for jobs, and everyone knows what a background check is.
So for those of you just to help in terms of Villawood is supervised by the Commonwealth. Yeah, Commonwealth. If you go to any correctional centers or prisons, they are under the New South Wales. So you are probably be cleared through the police, criminal checks, and all those things under the state. But for Villawood, it is governed by the Commonwealth. So they are supervised. We are going to be screened through the federal police. So now before it takes a bit of while, but now once you go through the interview process, it's going to be so fast, probably a week or two, and result will come extremely well. Yeah? So now it's very quick now. So I think probably the delay is interview process. But once you fill out a form and put the form in, it will probably take 1 or 2 weeks to come through. So the Commonwealth and also the state. So there are two different things altogether. For the police to go into Villawood, they have to have some permission first, just like anybody else. They have to ask permission to go in. If you want to do some charges on someone, they have to ask the Commonwealth first to go in. Villawood Detention Center. Yeah? So that's how two things are operate differently.
Awesome. If there are no questions in regards to the screening process and interviews, we will move on to the next section.
Yeah.
So, no, on the same page. Don't flip over.
Yeah.
Induction with the Circo staff. Remind me what day. It's one day that we go in for induction. Pastor, remember the day that we went? Was it a weekday, weekend? Weekday.
Weekdays, yeah.
So weekday, we would all have to make sure that we could all agree on a time to go. And that day, it will be a couple hours. So just plan half a day for that training. And there we'll be briefed, we will do paperwork, we'll have paperwork in front of us. A lot of those documents that were sent from Marks will be there unless they change. But we're still gonna have that briefing most likely with one of the Circle staff members. And yeah, so that day, some paperwork, some things that we need to know that are very important, that pretty much our policy team and stuff like that, stuff like that, our policies team will know a lot about what's expected. And I think a lot of us should take the time to look into that, because confidentiality is like top when it comes to that. And but yeah, so we'll be spoken about all of that and what's expected of us as a program or people group that go in there and have the privilege to do that. That day, bring your identification. You will need that day as well, so don't forget it. Working with children check, you must have a valid working with children check for this ministry. That's important. So I think my Hillsong, or is there another working with children check that you could do outside of my Hillsong? Or is it connected?
That's all connected.
It's all connected, okay. Yeah, and I think because of COVID-19, we all done a training. I think everybody done that training as well. Yeah, so flip to the next page. Any questions? Nikita, you're breathing quite hard there. She said.
So yeah, that's on the induction. You'll be signing a lot of few papers regarding to disclosure of information, code of conduct. You'll be signing all those during the induction. Right? So all those papers will be retained by the company or the circle. But you have to sign all those things. Disclosure, privacy, and also the code of conduct as well.
Thank you, Pastor. So yeah, after that process, we pretty much would just be waiting until we could actually go into Villawood in Jesus' name. So Sunday services / Bible study Thursdays, let's call it on the move. We are now on our way to serve at Villawood. Before we actually go and serve, there are some ordinary choices, planning, and decision-making and action that has to take place. It would be cool if we teleported from our beds to Villawood detention and just serve, but that is not the reality we live in. Everything is a process, so here we go. Here are a checklist of things that have to be done. Transport, which is the church van, both here in the city. I think in the hills we still don't have the church van. So how's it been done is some of the people from the hills would use their personal vehicles, like we've been doing, to come here, but instead go to Villawood. Yeah, at your own, how can I say, at your own expense, generosity, and sacrifice, because the church doesn't provide compensation for fuel. And if you take, I think, tolls or whatever to get there, that's really done unless you want to take public transport to get there. But we normally take the church van. Whoever's in the city would go straight to Villawood, and then those in the hills would travel together to Villawood, unless we just maybe arrange differently next time and probably use the van to fit everybody. But we will probably discuss that when that time comes. Communication. I should have bolded that and caps lock that, but I put communication there because that's absolutely essential. There's been instances where, no names, but people are just oversleeping. Don't make it to the van, and therefore we have to go because we have a specific time slot. I believe it's 9:15 that we should be starting the service, and we get booted 5 minutes prior to 11, okay? Prior to 10. And then we have a break between that, and then we go in for our next service at Blacksland usually, but because Blacksland is now tied with Hotham, there are some difference in times. But yeah, communication is important. So the WhatsApp chat might not, you might not be communicating as much as possible now. That's okay. But when that time comes, we need everybody to be communicating. That way we all on the same page. We have others in our best interest. And yeah, this is the time where we really need to be thinking about each other as well. You gonna pick up the pizza? Okay. All right. Anybody want to go with Janine? Pick up the pizza? All right. You are now excused. I'm trying to make it as professional as possible. I'm joking. Joey, sit right here. So communication is absolutely essential this day.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, Joy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next one.
Let me just go back. Maybe the question is to be asked. How quick can you start? How quick can you start?
How quick can you stand?
How quick can you start serving in Villawood?
So the whole process from the interview, and then once you interview, you fill in the form, the federal form, the federal checks. So once that one comes out, once the result comes out, then we will let you know of the induction. Yeah? So we will let you know probably a week or 2 weeks prior to the induction, so that you can put everything aside regarding to attend induction. Because once you miss the induction, it's going to be a prolonged waiting for you. You'll never start until you do the induction. So the induction is to come first before you start. Yeah. So once your name is approved, then you go for the induction, so that you can sign all those disclosure information and then you can start straight away after that. Yeah. So I think that's you can start straight away after you do your induction. But without induction, if your name is approved, you can never start until you do the induction. Yeah. So the induction is to come, then you can start. So.
And then can take from 2 months to 1 semester. It really depends.
Really?
I think Edwin and I were really lucky.
Yeah, we were.
didn't really have to wait a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 months into the semester we were allowed to go in. But I know some of the students were waiting for long. It really depends.
It's not luck, it's the Holy Spirit. Praise the Lord.
But it only takes long if you put aside the induction.
Yes,
when the induction comes for students, so I can't do it because of the weekends. So that's why you have to make priority when the induction comes. So you have to attend the induction. Otherwise, you have to wait 2 months, 3 months. Because once you miss the first induction, they will not put again another induction for 2 months. Yeah. So you have to make priority. If you're working, if you're attending class, we will work with a college, talk to your tutorial about that you need to make this time for induction. Yeah. So it's priority that you attend induction before anything else, because otherwise you have to wait for another 2 months for another induction, or 3 months for the induction. Yeah? So we will let you know when the induction, probably 2 weeks prior, when it comes.
Thank you, Pastor, for adding emphasis on that. So we spoke about communication and transport. Now a big one, which was my responsibility when we were going in, was the Hillsong Church van key process. So with that pink pouch, it's probably returned to the pigeonhole in the Waterloo campus. But in that reception area, everybody knows the reception area in Waterloo campus. Well, in there is a cupboard there. And there's a pigeonhole with Villawood. There's a pink pouch in there, and it has the keys to this building. Okay, that's like the first step. So on Sunday, when you are kind of expected to meet here earlier than everyone, just in case, you never know. If you have to call staff to open up the door or something, I've ran into all those situations. But normally they are worship team preparing and rehearsing for the services at that time. So normally I'll get the key and be able to open the door. So yeah, after you get the key, there's an alarm right there on the other side of this wall. And I pretty much gave you the code, so you could probably highlight that if you want to take on this responsibility. So you have to disalarm it, because if you don't disalarm it, you're gonna hear that sound as if someone broke in until it's disalarmed, and the alarm code is right there for you. After you do that, pretty much upstairs, there's a reception area, and there's we could probably go take a look up there, but there is another a cabinet or work desk, and you pretty much open one of those desk drawers, and there's a folder, and there's also a pouch. The pouch is for specifically the church band keys. It has a logbook in there, fuel key in there, make sure it goes up in there. So logbook, fuel key, and the key to the band. There's been instances where the church van fuel is low. Normally when that happens, I'll put a note in the section that we fill out in the book that we leave there. We'll probably take you up there to look at that, but that's pretty much to let staff and church know that the church van is being occupied by Villawood. And yeah, so that's kind of self-explanatory. We'll probably kind of like, maybe we should probably grab that van thing. Yeah, Pastor, I don't know if you want to go grab it, if it's there or not. So we can give you a visual of that. But yeah, so that's the process. And before you leave, make sure you actually lock these doors up. Yeah, lock the doors up. Take that city care key back to the pigeonhole. And yeah, pretty much you grab the van. Normally it's either here or up there. I don't know if anyone been to that car park up there, but that's where the van is. And yeah, you pretty much put the kilometers where you start time, and then when you come to finish, and document that date, time. Yeah, so that's pretty much your responsibility. And also, very importantly, before all of this is you actually have to give, you pretty much need to have a valid driver license to drive the church van. Who would have thought? Rowana, come on, somebody. You know what I'm saying? So you actually have to get your ID approved before you actually use the van. And you'll give your key. Your driver license will be scanned and will be kept on file because you are responsible whilst you're driving it. Little disclosure, I did get a fine in that church van doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. I won't tell you that story.
Wow.
Yeah. But Pastor knows this story very clear, and I'm kind of disappointed because that was a lot of money. But yeah, so the moral of the story, do not, that's fine. The moral of the story is do not park this van in any emergency areas or any areas not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
You got that? That's a little bit of a lesson for you.
Also, you need to have a training to actually drive the van, right?
No.
You didn't
I
have
never
a
had a
training?
No.
Because we Hillsong did a training once.
Never had a training.
I don't know if we need to have that.
We just received an email this week, probably for any drivers to drive the van from now on. They will need to do a training. Yeah, they need a training. So we'll get to that when the time comes. Then you probably, for those who want to drive the van. In terms of the hills, we are looking at something probably we'll try to use the youth or So any vehicle is available at our hills campus. We'll try to use that for the team, so that we can transport only cars to Villawood. So we try as thing as possible, any means that we can arrange so that so no one can use their own vehicle. Yeah. Some of the times probably just for the good heart, we can probably try to get some voucher as well. That should help with the petrol. So it happens sometimes, but not every time. Right? So probably we'll try to arrange some of those things in regard to assisting using your car in regard to the petrol. Right? So, yeah, something I forgot to mention as well. Yeah, I'll keep on going on.
Thank you, Pastor. So that's a new training that we have to be on the lookout for. Maybe you have to be on the lookout for. Why are you laughing? I told you it's different.
I said no to that again.
Ah, man. See, they trying to change me here. So,
Wait.
what did you just say? Oh, okay. All right. We'll talk about that later. My final part, last but not least, before Sara, aka Galgadit, will take over this training, is city care snacks, communion elements, and Bibles. Okay? So there is a cabinet inside this warehouse room in our Villawood section, and you have to open it up, and tada, you have Bibles for I don't know. We have different Bibles, different translations, different languages in there, and then we also have, that's where if we could fit it there, we have the snacks that are normally given a budget to take in snacks. We always have snacks, morning tea, biscuits, coffee, things like that we take to Villawood. Those you actually don't know her, but I'll just mention her now because when you meet her, if she's still around, is Rebecca. She's amazing. She literally only joins us like at service, and she brings her own like snacks for everybody and addition stuff. Just amazing, crazy. You're gonna love Rebecca. She's on fire. Great testimony. So, but so snacks would be and stuff like that, and there'll be a person that will be allocated for this role. Last time we actually had our wonderful Switzerland Debs. She's phenomenal. She was one of the drivers. She's also took on that responsibility to help Pastor Alosio with that. So budget, grab the snacks, things like that, and that worked out really well. And she was like playing the guitar as well, so she was a gift. She was a gift to the ministry. Praise the Lord. And look, she brought one of her successes. But any questions in regards to all of this? Oh, before I mention, there's a rule in Villawood. All bags need to be clear, and I made a joke here, but don't eat any of the snacks beforehand. We do want to take it in, closed. There was temptation, don't get me wrong, when you look at those biscuits and you're hungry, trust me, I think I've done it. But yeah, there's always enough, don't worry. But so clear bags, reason weighing because they need to see everything inside. So communion, we actually only do communion once a month as we do it together as a church. So we'll take, the communion tray, things like that when we do communion. But other than that, we don't take it in. But we do take snacks in all the time. But yeah, that's for me. That's my training session. Any questions?
So just for the snacks, we would like that probably just in terms of easy access. We did that, but everything should be arranged in the city because we have a van, so everything can be transported with the teams of the city. They can pick up stuff. So in terms of the snacks, for those who are responsible, or the one responsible for ordering, they always put the order on Thursday, so the snacks can come in on Friday. So by Friday, those deliveries, they come and they bring it here, and the team will here staff, then we put it on the side where our cupboard is. Yeah, they leave it there. So for those who come on Sunday, they will pick it up. They will pick it up everything. Everything will be ordered, will be sealed, so nothing open. Yeah. So because now they are required because of safety, everything should be sealed. So we order those things on Thursday, and Friday it comes. Then for the team, they will pick it up on Sunday in the morning. Yeah? One of the things probably we will, as planning ahead, in regarding to the services, probably we'll have to, by going in, we'll have to do an early service. So probably we will have to arrange ourselves in getting up early. We'll have to do 2 services, probably at 8 o'clock. Yeah. So 8 or 8:30. So that's why but we will have a early day off. So I think by 12 o'clock or 11:30, everybody is finished. So he can get probably back to church or at your place and have a rest for the rest of the day before the night service. So it looks like probably because of the shifting of the high security guys from one place, now they're in one place, one compound. But we still have to run 2 services with them. Yeah, so I think in terms of, I will explain it as we go along. But just to let you know, it could be we're gonna start really, really early. Yeah. So.
Ministry. Yeah, thank you.
Should we do a quick run around, like to these specific locations?
We can
Do
actually.
you guys want to do it? You guys up for it?
Let's enjoy it.
Like, quick.
Have a look at
Okay.
the office.
Before
where
this
the
part?
We'll do it after.
We do it after?
We can do it after. That's all.
Okay, cool.
When we are strong enough.
I wanted it to get in the video because whoever's not here, they will see the video as well.
Yeah, they will come.
It won't be in the video because this video is gonna end. Like, we got like maybe 20 more minutes.
Yeah, how long we gonna go for? Let's go.
Let's go?
Yeah.
Okay, and then if we got time, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's go for pizza or
These are coming.
pizza's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important, to see we are location. Villawood is literally a location. It's the same as Waterloo. It's the same as Hills location, right? And I think it's important to see it like that because we want to bring excellence to it, especially on Sunday services. I want you to see, okay, I am actually serving at a location. And that also, bumping in and bumping up, what I think Maryland's is still doing, I think that's the same with us as well. And I think that's the whole process why we're explaining everything because it's so complex, right? So we are a separate location. And when it comes to Sunday services, I explain a little bit more, but there is also a lot of preparation which comes with it, which is rostering, preparation when you do MC role, whatever, It's Hillsong Church and we represent that as well, which is actually a privilege. It's so cool. Things you need to do before the day for the worship team, especially Jody, Rana, and Leah. You guys are your own team, basically. We have one worship leader. Okay, so no, that's wrong. We have different locations, right? So we now have Claxton/Hotham, and we have Logan. Okay, that's two locations. With one, there is actually 2 in there. Does that make sense? So it's 2 physical locations, but one, there are 2 compounds in it. Okay. For each location, we will have a leader. For Logan, Hotham, and Claxton, we will have a location leader, and that leader is responsible for rostering people for that day during the week. Okay. For example, when you look at the roster there, that's kind of like a roster how we roster people. For example, let's say I am the Logan oversight, which I was for a couple of months. I send that roster out, let's say on Tuesday or even Monday. So you guys have a lot of time to prepare. I roster people for graphics, for chairs, for the food setup, readings, resource table, PSG, worship team, and the prayer announcements and PPS. The message after altar call and the fellowship is popping up. It's basically a full service, right? I roster as an oversight. We'll go into that a little bit in detail later. But for the worship team, it's very important there are no instruments in there. We just bring it all in. It was most likely one guitar. I think Logan has piano. in there already. But for the guitar, for example, we need to approve that. So you send Ravi, I think it was, yeah, Ravi an email with the picture of the guitar, with the item number, and he needs to approve that. So you do that even prior to all that process. If it's approved, you can just bring it and it goes through the security scanning as well. But you can't bring anything in it which is not approved. The same is with Bibles as well. We can't bring anything in. So that's very important for worship. One time we did a little bit of an acoustic worship session because we didn't have enough guitars. So I was in Holland that was funny. It was just, you know, one person leading and singing and yeah, that's just joining. So there's definitely growth happening for you as a leader as well. You know, stepping up in leadership, just, you know, problem solving, how are we going with things? What are you doing if that person is not allowed to go in? And that person you actually rostered for the day needs to be outside. What are you doing, right? There were times where we were just 2 people in one location, we were just 3 people in one location, and we just had to do it all kind of on our own. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's important for the worship team. For clothing, wear closed shoes. I forgot about that at some point, and I wore Pastor Alosio's running shoes, which were a little bit too big, but it was wonderful. Otherwise, I would have stayed out because I wore thumbs, I think. Yeah, so that's very important. It's simply a safety thing. Also, appropriate clothing, like you don't want to wear, you know, when you're on stage, it's just, you know, when you enter church, you don't want to wear short dresses, you want to be appropriate with that. With your clothes, I have to say, just be really careful where you, like, just wash them before you wear them maybe, because if you just pass a person on that day or even the day before with the same clothes on and that person smoked and it get caught on your coat, they do, like, you actually have to go through a screening. It's like kind of like an airport, you know, when you go through security. They put some tests on your clothes, and if there's alcohol or smoke or any other drugs on it, you're not allowed to go in. So that's really important. Also with perfume, you know, if you just have a lot of perfume on it, if there's alcohol in it, if they find it, you're not allowed to go in. They're very strict with that, which is, you know, we have to be careful with that. Yeah, so we have to log in. So we come in, there is like a foyer, and there are also lockers. So we have to log in our phones and everything, our belongings into those lockers, right? If you write notes for whatever you're serving, for example, if you write notes for your MC spot, what you're saying, or when you write notes for worship, lyrics, that's another thing. We'll come to that, but it's all in there with the laptops and stuff. But you don't have your phones with you. So just make sure I always took my Bible and some, you know, clear sheets and a pen. That's what I bring in. Or if, yeah, some notes I put down already, because we only get our bags and phones when we go out. Yeah, so that's important to know. Come prepared. Yeah, so let's have a look at the roster. What you guys actually do. Yeah, make sure you have those things with you, instruments, also snacks, what Edwin was saying, books and Bibles for the resource kit. Yeah. Let's go to the roster and then I'll explain a little bit more. Graphics, so when you're in the locations, all the teams are separate. The graphics, laptop, and resource box. It's most likely just one person is rostered for that. You get the box with all the cables and the laptop from the loading location. So if you're serving in Holland and Flexen, you just go to the loading location, you take the box and carry it with all the, laptop. There's most likely a thing to sign, but the officers will tell you what to do. Put the power. So then you set up the TV. You connect the laptop, and then you most likely have about 10 minutes. Think so? To set up the PowerPoint with the lyrics. So prior to that, you need to make sure to communicate with the worship leader. Which songs do you sing most likely to? Which lyrics do you need? And you write that down. You also communicate with pastor or whoever is preaching on that Sunday to make sure you have some notes you put on the PowerPoints for the detainees to see. So that's what you have already. So now you have 10 minutes to actually create that PowerPoint. For me, it was always so stressful. I hate to do it, but
Very stressful.
it is. But you kind of get the hang of it. Because there are, there are folders on the laptops inside already, so you have all the lyrics from all the Hillsong songs on the laptop. You also have a document with the whole Bible. So for the preaching, you can copy and paste just the Bible passages, or copy and paste the lyrics. You also have the welcome your church kind of screen. Everything is saved on that laptop. So you just create that. And you are, for the whole service, you're sitting at the laptop and you're just doing basically, switching slides, all that stuff. Chairs, most likely one person is rostered for that. So when you go into the location, you just set up the whole, chairs and table. You just make sure that it looks great. And also after service to prepare your food setup. As Edwin was already saying, there is snacks coming with us. So we most likely just prepare all the snacks for fellowship beforehand and afterwards as well. We just prepare that and a little bit of fellowship. Greeting hosts is also one person, you're just there welcoming people. For example, if you don't have so many people, you just need to do greeting hosts and chairs, or roster one person for chairs, greetings, and food setup, for example. So that person is responsible for all of that. It's possible. It's possible. There are not a lot of heaps of people, so you kind of make it work. The resource table. Pizza is here. I'll make it quick, okay? Can we? I don't know. Should we? Okay, keep on eating, keep on walking. That's cool. Thank you so much for getting that. So we just put it all. All in the middle.
Are we pausing this?
Yeah, Pastor said we're eating and we're talking.
Okay.
Because I think we all need energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pause this.
Yeah. Still?
That's a little bit. You probably got a little bit left. It'll be helpful. For the team that's not here, will be very helpful.
Hi, everybody that's not here today. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, that's
People are coming to share us.
Oh, can I play some part? You say she doesn't?
No, she did.
So for Denise and Bob, are you away?
Somebody took my plate, yo.
Take another one.
They stole my plate.
I'll wait until everybody sits down.
Pineapple on pizza. You guys down? I was like, this might be controversial.
Not sure about that. I'll get that before this is gone.
Is this somebody's?
No.
It's yours. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god, chocolate. Why you
It's
take
actually
it?
a different
You
one.
take- why you
I
take it?
know, it's not even the same, that's how I know it's fake.
It's not fake, man.
It's fake.
So we did mention while Janine and Bob was away with regard to starting the process when you start. So the interview, then fill out the application. So once you receive the result, then you are being asked to do the induction. So what we found that most people, they postpone the induction because of the busyness of. But then once you put it aside the induction, you're gonna have to wait probably another 2 months for that to happen again. So we will let you know prior regarding every 1 week, 2 weeks, if the induction, if you are required for induction, so you can set aside and make your calendar free so that you can attend the induction. But once the induction is done, then you can start straight away. Yeah. So if you receive an email for you to do attend induction, make it a high priority for you to do the induction. Because otherwise you'll wait for 3 months, even 6 months. Yeah. You'll never start until you do the induction. Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Good to mention.
Mm-hmm.
We just discussed a little bit about the rostering system. You have just for Janine and Babs, you have You have a good example of a roster here, how it could look like. Obviously, so just for you guys to know, you have you have location leaders for Logan, Hawthorne, and Flexit, and that location leader will roster people throughout the week. So most likely on Monday or Tuesday actually already, so those people can prepare, come prepared. It's a location, we treat it like that, right? Excellent, we want to get prepared, we want to, represent Hillsong in a good way. And we just went through the full rostering thing, so it's basically one person is rostered for graphics, laptop, and the resource box. One is, for chairs, for food setup, greeting hosts, resource table. You just set up a little bit of a table with books and most likely also prayer requests and salvation cards and the praise reports for people to fill out, for Bibles to be there, and you're responsible for setting it up and also backing up, basically just put it back in the box and bring it to the local location where it is. That's resource box, and then when it comes to the service, we have one person. The PSG is free service gathering. It's basically just a short prayer with the team and the detainees. We're just praying for the service, and then the worship team starts playing songs. We chose, we practiced. It's most likely one person leading and another vocal. Depends on the dynamic of the team as well. That definitely needs to be prepared before, as you will know. And then we have one person rostered for PPS, prayer, and announcements. Prior to that, you just ask Pastor what are the announcements for church. You most likely know as well. What's coming up. Just write that down on a piece of paper, because as we said, forms are not allowed in there. So you just write it down for you as a note. In third year, you will learn you learn how to do all that stuff, right? Offering message and all that stuff. So if you need any information around that, go to third year. Edwin and me kind of learn the whole, how Hillsong is doing it. So just come prepared also for, altar call after the message. So pastor or another pastor is probably teaching, and then the altar call, another person is rostered for that. So just come prepared how to do it. Practice it at home. And then we have fellowship and backing up, which is basically everybody. We have all together. So after service, we have a little fellowship happening with eating snacks. We can't be too long because we have a restricted time frame. So the officers, one or two officers will most likely always be in the room. So they just tell you when you go out if you miss it. Like they're really strict with that. So just keep that in mind. To be also, careful with time, to respect their time frame as well. Then we bump out, we bring the box with the laptop, the graphic person brings that back to the Logan location, and all the others, we're just going out and we'll grab our phones and bags. One thing before we go in, so that was the roster. When we go in, so you go in, you arrive with the van or with the car at the center. We go in, there is this foyer, and then you just let the officers or the staff, they know that you're there, you're from Villawood, they know you guys. From church, from Villawood, Villawood team. And then you get, so the location leader gets a sheet of paper. You will bring that with you all the time, and that sheet of paper is literally, you just put the names down from the volunteers in your location and the names from the detainees. Also what you brought in, so it's just a little thing to fill out, it's done in 2 minutes. But it's very important to give that back once, before we leave the detention center. So you come out of the service and you'll just give that back to the staff so you know who attended. Make sure, yeah. So when you're there,
Chris? No, that's Alien.
what was it?
There's a training session where you guys could come in. Come.
You can join us.
There's a training, but you could join and sit down.
Eat some pizza.
We'll training and then we'll come back later.
Okay.
We'll just do our thing, and you guys do your thing. We'll come back.
Cool.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you, brother. Come on, someone.
Love you guys. Come on, somebody.
So quickly, when you're here, or when you're there, let the staff know. Put all your belongings, the bag, the keys in the locker, the piece of paper, security, like airport, you just go through. And then once you're in, you go to your location, either Coffin or Lexington/Coffin. That's Sunday services. Different procedure. Well, it kind of like the same procedure for Bible study. It's just that you have Bible study instead of service. Bible study is, our Bible study team know the dynamics of Bible study. It's basically, you just be there, set up your room with a table. You most likely have, in Coffin, you have a whiteboard as well you can use. Because Bible study, it's easy. Nothing really to, roster people and stuff like that. After the service, make sure you fill out the form, and then always make sure we represent the church. I wrote down here that the humor or the way stuff is treating us sometimes is very different than we used to be treated. Like I feel like Robbie, for example, or the stuff in there, they just have different humor. Just be mindful of that. Bring Christ to them, bring a smile to them, be kind. Even if they're they seem sometimes a little bit rough, just be kind. Just be, we are representing Jesus. Pray for them. You sometimes have really good conversation, especially when you're waiting outside, when you're not allowed to go in. You have good conversation with staff, which is pretty cool. They're from different backgrounds, different religions, like you never know, which is awesome. But just be mindful that you represent the church for them as well, not just the detainees. That's basically it. I reckon we actually, once we get the yes from detention center that we can go in, we should actually, maybe it's possible that we as a team just go in and we will show the team around how to do stuff. I don't know if that's possible. Even maybe one Sunday, but without the detainees, without actually doing a service, but just showing, because just a trial, because it might be very challenging for a whole team to run the whole thing without even being there. So maybe we can do that. I think that's probably even necessary to do that. But yeah. That's
Yeah,
something
so one more thing, after the service is the after party. So one thing to mention is there is a bit of frustration when we go in there. I forgot to mention that. I think Sara probably mistake that one is when we get there, we could be a bit impatient because we all actually have to get wristbands. Wristbands are essential. If you don't have a wristband, guess what? You become a detainee. So we are actually wristband. We are wristbands with our identification. Okay, they don't take ID cards, but they need it. They wristband you, and we all have the same color. And as we're walking to each facility, there'll be a camera there, and they'll be buzzing us open to for each facility, and we have to all actually share our wristbands with the camera to be let in, and we need to show again to be let out. So don't cut your wristband, and if a detainee just so happens to try to like get your wristband off of you, it hasn't happened, but just let me and Pastor know, we will take care of it, okay? We put them in the corner. Or the car park. So, but that is probably not gonna happen, but that's something I'll share with you. So while that's actually happening, you actually have so many situations where we are held up, okay? At the metal detector, and we got passed over here like this. Not saying anything, but everybody's just, we all getting fidgety. Like, oh, Pastor, what we gonna do, man? We're gonna go in, they're cutting on our time. We don't start yet, we're supposed to start already. That actually happens. So just kind of give you a little foretaste of that now. So you can't say that we haven't really discussed that here. But yeah, be praying before you get there for patience. And don't worry, the Holy Spirit will answer, okay? Because we doing God's work. We're not going in there at a social club and, you know, we're literally going in there as ambassadors.
Yeah.
Okay?
One thing as well, like we need to bring our identification, and I forgot to write it down here. In order to get your wristband, you need to have either license, passport, there needs to be a photo on it. So I think either license or passport with you, because you need to show that every single day you're going in, like every single time, and then you get your wristbands. And then you leave the passport or the license with your bags in the locker. Yeah, I think.
So yeah, with the wristbands, there's different colors, right? Different colors. So it depends on the location you're going to. So if you go to a different location, they will give you a different color there. So yeah, one of the big problems in regards to lots of the officers, they will write you on the wrong side. So just be patient. Sometimes in terms of the time limitations, if you know they were running out of time, just work with the time, and if you need to cut something out regarding pronouncement, you need to do that so that you can abide by the time. Yeah. But don't cut in terms of the preaching. You can cut all the unnecessary, but give time for the word of God to be spoken to the lives. So that's why we need the word of God. And we do a lot of baptism, water baptism. Salvation happens every Sunday. So what we experience in church, we experience it as well in Villawood. You will have time to pray with the team before you go in, just to keep everybody sharp and ready, because of those things that will happen on the process. Process of screening. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, just like, I mean, if you go to prison and if you suspect of something, they can take you to a private room and we can be strip search. That's it is regarding to prison. So just be patient, but we haven't done that in Villawood. But don't worry if anything, if something that happens that is a cause of you remember that it's gonna be around on us all. So, and also that attitudes or things that happened, they will put it as a complaint. They will report it to the supervisor as well. So sometimes I'll be calling during the week to discuss what's happened there. So please remember, remember always, first of all, you're representing Christ and the church. And then second, the church, right? Yeah. So, with in terms of the laptops, we will assign two persons to sign off and sign in the laptops. So the laptops, before we used to bring in our own laptops and our own, so Google or what's that called? Dongle. We used to bring that one in as well, but now, because there's something happened in regarding to, it came to a point that they all of a sudden they stopped everything coming in. Even guitar instrument, we used to bring like full set of instruments, drums, keyboards, which the creative department supplied everything for us. Bass guitar, guitarist, singers, yeah. But then all of a sudden, they stopped. Yeah. For some reason we don't know why. One of the information we received is a control item. So in other words, it can be used as a security weapon. It can be used for especially the mic stand, guitar stand, but even that for guitar. So what happened when they stopped those things, and without any information given to us or any, So what we did, I wrote to the minister, why is this? Not only to the minister, but to the PM. I wrote straight to the PM directly. So, and they came back. You know what the department from the PM said? If they stopped you, the Department of Immigration has to supply everything that you need. So now they've supplied the computer, they supplied the keyboard, the guitar, the drums. So what's happened now that now we go in and we just pick up the things that they've stored in there we can use for the church. Yeah. So, most of you don't realize that that PM was in on that group.
PM as a prime minister.
Wow.
Oh,
Got big shots.
I thought you meant PM, so it's
So cool.
just like,
I said.
No, not Clarence.
I'm very honest.
me too.
The Prime Minister of Australia was in his.
Yeah, which one?
Prime Minister, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I know, like,
He's just been like,
So don't go and tell about it. So that secrecy of relationship was the way that take us forward for the department to supply all the needed. Because it was a relationship. Still a relationship. But yeah. So now when we are going to understand the fact of the swatch, most people they know what's the relationship is there. So they don't treat us that way. Yes.
I think that's a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember as well that we're coming from the context of being in church.
Yeah.
And what we're doing isn't necessarily seen the same way as everyone in the room might be thinking. So there's a lot of other factors to take into account as well.
So the equipment that we needed now, it's all provided from the Department of Immigration, and also there's a process that we need to do. So when that happened, I even CC, we even CC our church that this thing has happened, and the church can't even do anything as well. So what has happened, we have to write a letter to the minister regarding to the treatment, because most of the treatment are done by the contract company without border force, without those who are responsible, minister responsible, knowing it. Oh, that's another.
Oh, yeah. You made it. You made it. Oh, hi.
Hi, Amanda. There's a seat there or there.
So yeah, we just exercised that once, but we haven't exercised it any. So
What did we exercise once?
that letters to the minister.
About complaints.
Yeah, not complain, but just let them know that this is happened to us, to the church, that they stopped everything. They've stopped the things that allow the service to run. Because freedom of religion is something that everyone should get access to. But we are stopped by that without any reason at all. So that's why we have to think about that. So we have church support.
Going back to controversial topics, just because you brought up freedom of religion, I will say that I know from outside perspective, what we're doing actually looks like the opposite. As in, we're taking away people's freedom of religion. Like, some people see what we're doing as converting immigrants so that Australians become Christians. And so some people believe that they can't leave the immigration detention centre unless they convert to Christianity.
But we don't have to convert. We are there to run the service, to set the love of God. We are not in the position to convert. It's up to them to decide.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's we are all big people that convert everybody to be Christian. It's not that hard. So we just go and share the gospel. It's up to them to decide. But in terms of freedom of worship, we have to give that space to everyone. Worship. So one of the great aspects, especially from our side of the church, is worship. Is the thing that we can allow people to express when they know God and worship and freedom there. So, but for us, if we take the music instrument and everything over all that, that's why we have to go to the next level, right? So we don't write because from our own personal agenda, but we share that with the church, we share that with Pastor Brian, others. They said they've stopped us taking musical instruments. So they've supported that I've written a letter to the minister. So that's what it comes to, where to provide. So the ministers are met and they said, okay, Pastor will provide everything. So the border force, the immigration, and the circle, they come together. So 3 departments from the government levels. They come, so we're going to supply everything. For your services, for the worship. So people can come to worship. So, yeah. Who? Yeah. Any other question? From there?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Are we the only ministry in a religious setting that goes into Villawood?
No, we have got other religious services like probably the Baptist, Anglican, Catholics,
Muslim or Islam? Sorry.
Islam, Muslims. Yeah. We have a big, they provide chapels. So for one location, we have services in the dining area. So everywhere that they provide a hot water system whereby the detainees and us, we can have refreshments, have snacks and have fellowship. So we'll give more time. For fellowship as well. We want to honor that as well. And yeah. So the paper that Sara is talking about in regarding to pick it up,